Joe Budden refuses to give his co-host a raise and calls them out for lack of research.
Flip said he wants to make 30 grand
a month.
I said that wouldn't happen up here.
You would need.
And then I said, off the 2 days. I said, off 2 days? I said, yeah. I said, it's going to be the JBP daily. Once a broadcast is at a certain level, it's somebody's job to not police the opinions, but authenticate, or what's the word? Certify.
What?
It is. Like, at a certain point, we got to vet even opinions.
On the Patreon that just dropped today called The Daily Show, a lot was revealed. This deserves a whole breakdown. This Patreon was actually quite intriguing for the sake of what they talked about. It was actually pretty good. I think they're stepping up a bit, but I think the biggest highlight was Joe Budden refusing to give co-host like Queen's Flip a raise. I mean, this guy said, I want to get to that high number. He wants to get to 30,000. And Joe flat out said, nope, that ain't happening, buddy. And the number is quite funny and fascinating because that's $10,000 less than the Rory number. If you don't remember, Rory, when he was responding to the the Sleeper Boys, he said that he was making $40K 1 month from Patreon. That wasn't when he was making every month. That was just a special month as a result of the Patreon. So that's something we have to examine. But then a new theory gets thrown out there. What if Joe Budden were to do a daily show so Flip could get to that 30,000 number? Now, that is kind of intriguing. And it would go even further with Joe saying he would only add Parks and Erickson to the everyday show and be solo, only doing it for an hour. Now, I think this gives insight into how the business is being run. Joe is not giving out a deal just to give out a deal. He's not trying to pay people more. He doesn't want to make Flip happy with a $30,000 thing. Also, if Flip's not making $30,000, what is he making? Is he making half of that? I don't know. I feel like if I were to do the math, I think maybe they're getting paid like $2,000 per day of their recording. So if you multiply 2,000 times 8, you're looking at 16,000 a month. Maybe Flip gets paid a little bit more, getting up to 20K. Who knows? I'm just guessing. This is pure speculation. And a daily show for an hour might be worth something, but I think it would be locked up behind the paywall. But it was intriguing for Joe to say, yo, I'm not going to have all of y'all on it. I'm keeping the cost down. And I'm guessing he would do a guest-based format. I'm guessing he would possibly just talk for a couple minutes, kind of everyday struggle. I mean, all you need is one other person to bounce ideas off of. And I think that's what Parks would be great for. But we will see. There was also a couple of highlights in this episode. One, Mark was there on a Friday. And this is something I was trying to say on Spaces. It's not good for the rest of the cast members that Joe felt the need to invite Mark Lamont Hill on Fridays. It basically is signaling, hey man, you guys aren't really all that. And we need Mark around. And if you notice, the best moments of the show are happening when Mark is around. And Joe even says that Mark is only the person who can talk on intelligent topics. And this was as a result of that fraternity and gang topic where I guess they spoke about it and they didn't speak about it to the extent of knowledge that people wanted them to. So that's one thing that I'm trying to tell people is, yes, it's great that Mark is there, but it's also a signal of how much the rest of the cast is lacking. And even Imani pushes back on Joe by saying, hey, when we was having a speech about fraternities and whatnot, you was kind of cool, but now that people push back, you switched up. But Joe rebuttals by saying there's people who might not be informed on the show. It's a fact, man. These guys talk a lot about stuff and they speak about it with high levels of authority, especially Ish. I think Ish is the most egregious of this. Like, he always is speaking like he knows, and on top of that, he acts like he's well researched, and in the face of research sometimes he just doubles down. I don't know why he does that. You would think someone who wants to appear right all the time would do research, but I actually think he's just lazy and he wants to appear right in the moment as opposed to actually putting in the work. So he's a know-it-all, but he doesn't actually attempt to learn and actually know it all. Also, Melissa Ford is quiet. A lot of Patreons, Melissa Ford is just showing up and not doing much. And I think it's just crazy. She's basically, I think Ian Dunlop said that she could just sit down and look pretty. She don't have to say anything. She's worth the price of admission. People just show up and all of that. But she has a lot of viral moments. So there's that element. But as far as conversation, she really provides nothing in a lot of these Patreon episodes. And this is the premium content. It almost feels like none of the podcast members know, like, yo, this is Patreon. We have to give it up. People are paying $25 a month for this. Some people doing friend of the show tier, $50, $10, $15. You have to try. You can't be out here quiet. And I don't know. I think someone needs to come in there who Joe can replace Melissa Ford. He needs another woman. There's another woman that needs to fill that spot sometimes. And it's not to replace her. It's just to add another element and maybe make Melissa Ford actually contribute to the conversation, because I think she sucks at, turn-king dialogue. Yes, she has a lot of moments, but the moments are often at her expense. And it's never her really carrying a topic. The only time she really looked like she was trying was when she was starting hot and bothered. A little bit later into this, Imani and Joe go back and forth about him doing In the Room 2. And Joe once again reveals that he asked Imani not to go on In the Room, but he did so anyway. Well, there you have it. The top talking points from this Patreon is Flip asking if he could get to the $30,000 a month from Joe, and Joe outright saying no. I mean, this was as sturdy as I've ever seen him just rebuff something. I know it's on air and there's a performative flair to it, but I think what you saw is Joe the businessman. I'm not paying none of you people $30,000 a month. None of you people work that much. You show up twice a week. Some of you show up late. You're not as well researched. People at the Breakfast Club probably get paid $30,000 a month, but they're showing up every day and they're working Lord knows how long. I think some of the Breakfast Club people are doing 9 to 5s. I'm talking about Lauren. I truly believe that she's not just showing up for the length of the show and going home. She's going from 9 to 5 hours. Not 9 to 5 in terms of hours, but just the time she works, 9-8 hours. She's putting in long days. Then she's probably going home thinking about how to make the show better. I don't get any type of indication that anybody on the show is going home thinking about how they could make Joe's show better. And that's just kind of true. I think if all of these people were working for a big corporation, they wouldn't operate the way they do. All they do is show up, go home, and hey, see you later, Joe. But let me know what you think. Did you listen to the Patreon episode? That 30,000, man, said a lot to me. Said a lot. Flip is not getting to 30K a month from the Joe Budden podcast. I'm sure he's getting to that when you combine his other efforts, but we will see. All right, everybody, follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. Follow me on Patreon, The Stop. I just figured out how to do Spaces live on YouTube, and man, it's going to be special. I think the first thing I'm going to do now that I can do that is an episode review live of each podcast. I think it's going to be really special. It's going to be, I think, the first time the Joe Budden podcast will have someone reviewing every episode. And it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be something that's new. It's going to be something that's different. We're going to test it out. And the first episode, I plan to have it ready by Thursday. And it's going to be live probably Wednesday night. I'm going to be reacting to the whole episode, not just doing a show. So you got to check the live tab. Make sure you put on all your notifications. Hit the like button so that way when something comes up from the live section, you see it right away. All right, y'all. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.